I'm very excited. I'll get the notebook out. I'm just gonna say, I hope you don't mind if I stay on Solar's view the whole time. uh,
Well, do you want to be taking
not
notes? I don't know because fun fact,
true.
if I'm not mistaken, this is a bit of a rematch. Solar and herO, they faced off, I want to say last week? No, maybe the week before. ESL Open Cup Asia 107. This was the grand finals and herO ended up winning.
Pretty sure I actually watched those games. Is that the game where on Pride they both took a gold base and then
Yeah.
Solar queen walked?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know what herO was doing since he made his Stargates at the gold base and like just died. So that was a really weird game, but
But regardless, we are here in another weekend. Oreo, why don't you do the honors of introducing one of your boys?
alright. Well, sporting in the top left, maybe? Oh wait, I'm at the... Sorry, see, I double tapped 3 because I thought you were still on 3, but now we've got other casters here, my bad.
Yep.
In the top left, sporting as the blue Zerg, it is the Korean Zerg Hope, I guess, in this tournament. I don't know if any other Korean Zergs are up this high. It is Kaizi Gaming's Solar.
Technical base. And sporting in the bottom right hand corner of Pride of Altares LE, we have the South Korean Protoss player representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming DPG. It is herO.
Ooh, and it looks like since herO probably knew that Solar was going to be taking this base as his
Yeah.
natural, he's going to counter-rush it, but the thing is, I don't know if you knew this, Light, but this is actually really bad for herO.
How so?
Because Solar can pull some workers and force like quite a bit of extra buildings, because there's no really good place to cannon rush, he can just basically take his natural and be in a bit of a lead. So these two drones, herO doesn't know if more workers are being pulled, so he has to make extra structures here to wall in the cannon, like so. But it's actually just going to mean that like Solar's not committing to a drone pull, but he could be, and herO doesn't know that. So you see the buildings start to get cancelled as he realized there is no drone pull, and Solar's just going to double expand, and now he's just basically in a lead.
Yeah, I was about to say that, again, like, unlike some of these other maps, there isn't a lot of room, say, behind the mineral lines or anything like that, so because of that, as you were saying, like, herO had to invest so much more to make that happen. He does have his first Zealot out, but I doubt he'll be able to do much here, and yeah. Interesting
Yeah,
start
this
to
is
the game.
a really cool move. I wonder if maybe herO knew that this build puts him in a bit of a deficit if
Yeah.
Zerg does a double expand. And because he knows that, he's like, how do I punish double expand? Oh yeah, I just chrono both my zealots while I do this. And it looks like he's definitely going to get the cancel on this base. There's not enough lings on the way.
Yeah, lings are coming out, sure, but that base is so incredibly low, and there we go, we see the cancel.
Yeah, so now I actually don't know who's in a lead. It's definitely a very spicy way to handle the problem of what if Zerg just double expands, but
Yeah.
it looks like it's going to put herO in a pretty good position.
Yeah, I love this, right? So again, it goes to show that herO's been in this position in the past. He's aware of like the position that he can be put into, and wow, even here, just delaying the third base even further. That's about to show up. Oh, he denies it.
Wow, and this is so painful for Solar. If you look at his money,
Ah!
he pulled. I'm pretty sure he pulled every drone out of gas, and now that he's been mining minerals this whole time just to get enough for the early third base, but he's actually going to be doing a bit of a ling flood now as a response, I guess, or maybe he thinks that herO is going to commit way more than he should, but he's making so many Zerglings.
Oh yeah, he has kind of cut drones pretty early. A lot of lings are on the way. What do we have back at home? We do not have a full... Okay, never mind. Okay, herO is starting to wall off. There is no shield battery here, though.
Yeah, but I guess the Oracle is pretty late too, but he's actually just going to use the lings to... Oh! The wall's not a wall!
Oh no, the wall is not a wall! The first adept does get surrounded. Boys are being forced off the line, but I mean, regardless, these things are dealing damage. Up!
herO's micro is so good, he didn't lose anything.
Oh no, he left the wall open again!
Oh, and these 3 lings are going to be such a pain. The Oracle's probably going to have to turn on for these 3 lings. Oh, it's actually just going to go straight across the map, but it's so hard to catch lings with speed with just adepts. But he does lose one.
He does. that probe micro was disgusting.
He actually doesn't know if this is committed or not, but it looks like he's going to make the read and realize it's not the most committed link flood, and he's not going to make any extra shield batteries.
Yeah, doesn't make any unnecessary units. Meanwhile, lings find their way into natural again, but there are only 2 lings. At the same time, Oracle gets across the map, gets a couple of drone kills, but Solar did just barely finish up that spore.
Yeah. I think it was a pretty cool move from herO to just completely ignore the lings with the Oracle and go straight across just to test if maybe Solar was just holding down the drone key after the lings and didn't want to invest into spores, but Solar expected it and had the spores in time, so 3 drones going down, still quite a bit, but it definitely could have been worse.
Oh yeah, 100%. Solar is able to reclaim control of his bases. At the same time, herO, he was thinking about taking his 3rd base at the triangle location. At the last minute, he changes his mind. He goes for the gold. Solar does see this though with his Overlord.
Yeah, I think it was intentional from Solar that when he was running from the natural to hide from the Void Ray, he went over the gold path. And yeah, he sees the 3rd base started there, so I'm curious what his response is going to be. Is he just going to reactively Queen Walk now?
I mean, he's got a decent amount of queens, so he could make use of that. He throws down a Roach Warren as well. So a Queen Walk wouldn't be the worst thing, especially because this 3rd base is kind of, again, it's exposed, it's relatively late. But it's kind of, we're in a really weird game state after the early game.
Yeah, and the thing is, you might think like that having a base out in the middle of nowhere would make it like really bad for Protoss and super easy to attack, but I think it's not actually that bad because this map is quite long. The rush distance is pretty considerable from the creep to the gold, and at the same time, he's going to have so much minerals from the gold, he's going to make an insane amount of static defense and just be safe against pretty much any Queen Walk, I would expect.
Yeah. So we'll see what Solar has for us. We do see a lair about to finish up. We'll see if he makes use of that. This is kind of weird, but yeah, okay. Let's go.
Yeah, so it looks like Solar, I guess, maybe considers his position a bit behind herO's, so he's not going to pull the trigger on the Queen Walk. He's starting the Evo. Looks like he's going to try and go for a bit more of a macro focus as he takes the gold now as his 4th.
Yeah. Gold's on the way. This is what I was kind of leaning towards. Hydrogen is thrown down here for Solar. Whether or not that's a commitment into Hydras, we'll see. He may just use it as a stepping stone to survive long enough to eventually end up getting into Corruptors if the game goes on that long. Meanwhile, that 4th base is denied. Unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of creep, and the Queens weren't in position to keep it alive.
Yeah, and he is going into Hydra Bane against 3 Stargate Void Ray. It's not the best. Not the best unit comp against mass Void Rays. Like, you would expect that Hydras, as, you know, the anti-air unit for Zerg would do well against large numbers of Void Rays, but if the Void Rays are sitting on top of static defense, they just don't get touched by Hydras. As he kills another Extractor, and yeah, it's looking really rough for Solar.
It's going to be hard for him to even get a 4th base because now the Void Rays are going to rotate back around towards the gold. I mean, that base is still looking quite exposed as well. Solar, he reads that. He's trying to get there in time with his queens, but I don't know if he can keep this alive.
So Solar is going to scout now that it's the 3 Stargate Void Ray with the Flux Veins, so he's going for this style that's oh, but he actually starts Bane speed. I was going to say he was going to go for a slow Bane Hydra push, which I like to do a lot. It's one of the few builds that if you like execute it, well, it can be super hard for Protoss to hold. But I think that because Solar's a bit in the deficit, it's gonna make it hard to actually make it happen. But he's not gonna catch the Void Rays; they're gonna run out. But he's gonna get all the ground units, which is really nice. Yeah,
definitely. Like, there are more than enough Hydras to deal with this. If herO had gone deeper into creep, then maybe the Hydras would have been able to catch the Void Rays. Again, herO's gonna be careful. Oh my God, he's losing one already.
I think, did 2 go down there, or was it just 1?
2.
Yeah, 2 going down, and there's not actually that much static defense at the 3rd base for some reason. Considering he hasn't even taken a 4th base yet, I'm surprised he hasn't been able to afford more.
Yeah.
So,
Like, we were talking about how, like, those minerals can really impact the amount of shield batteries and cannons, and they're only just now being thrown down. Thankfully for herO, Solar does back off to protect against the Void Ray, so he doesn't take advantage of that, so the static defense will finish at that third of herO.
Yeah, this is the rough thing about going Hydra range first before speed, is like, you can never catch a speed Void Rays. Like, he's just gonna jump between all the bases, and if you're just running around with slow Hydras, you're just gonna take a ton of damage. So it's really hard to find the window where you can actually go across the map and push without losing 2 of your bases while you're pushing.
Yeah, exactly. And this buys herO the time that he needs to fortify that base to get his upgrades up and running. +2 is on the way. Solar finally regroups and he's still going to attack and hit that base, but in the process, he does lose his gold.
Yeah, like... Yeah, it's hard for him to keep tabs on the Void Rays since he doesn't have any vision, unless he like splits some Lings out, but it looks like he's committing to the fight now. He's going to give up his base. We'll see if herO recalls the rest of his Void Rays. He probably should, or he's going to lose all the static defense before the Void Rays even get here. Yeah,
exactly. The Void Rays are still kind of dancing between the bases. They are not turning around. They're not coming back home, and because of that, Solar should be able to break this.
Yeah, I mean, I think he should have recalled the Void Rays a lot earlier before he lost all his static defense, but I mean, I guess there's just enough that Solar can't push through quite yet.
Yeah, he does wait out the overcharge. Overcharge does run out, so Solar will be able to go for a second wave. At the same time, again, herO is being so bold. Finally, he recalls back home, but again, it's so late.
Yeah, and Solar's now bringing the rest of his Hydras that were at home defending, but they're going to be here so late that he's actually going to lose a lot of Hydras to the Void Rays. He can just fight this straight up.
Oh my god. Oh, but the reinforcements come in. herO, he overextends. He fights without his shield batteries, without his cannons.
Oh, and one Bane goes off in the mineral line, kills 5 probes. It's starting to look a lot closer than I expected it to.
It looks like the Hydras are kind of breaking through. Another Void Ray falls. And with these reinforcements, again, Solar now, he doesn't have to worry about defending at home. He can focus everything on the attack, and I think he's doing it.
I would have really liked if Solar started... Oh, he's pulling the queens now, but I guess he actually doesn't have any queens. They all died to the Void Rays. I was going to say, I wish he'd pulled the queens a bit earlier, but he didn't have any. But the queens are up now, and he's actually killing all of the Void Rays. herO committing way too long.
Oh my god.
And I feel he might be doing it.
Yeah, I think so as well. Sure, a couple of slow lots are being warped in, but what are they really doing? 17 workers have already gone down. So Solar already has that worker lead. He's getting his 4th base back up and running. He's got that extra lava. He's warping in his Banelings. And what are these Void Rays really going to do? There's 1 shield battery.
Yeah, and I mean, like, there's no extra base started from herO. If he loses this, he's down to 2 bases. And he's not even mining it from it that much, so it's looking like almost the longer this game goes, the better it is for Solar.
100%, mate, 100%. As he finally is breaking on through, we have another overcharge. Oh, a couple of reinforcing Void Rays get sniped off. Nicely done there by Solar. He catches those reinforcements on the way, and he does back off now. But as you said, like, Solar is in a pretty good place.
Yeah, economically, he's out mining herO, and he's still got so much pressure. I feel like herO might be dead. Yeah. There's so many Hydras here. 25 workers have gone down during this. As because the tally keeps going up every time these probes at the edge of the gold get picked off.
They're being killed as they get popped. Oh, the Banelings roll in! The mineral line goes down. Finally, Solar has broken this gold base, but herO, he doesn't care anymore. He's just sending it across the map. He's going full YOLO. He snipes the Hydra den, so no more Hydras are going to be produced. But I don't know if there are enough Void Rays here to really make a difference.
Yeah, and Solar can just go home and play defensively, start up some more extra queens with his money, and he's just super outmining herO at this point.
Exactly.
As long as Solar doesn't lose all his bases.
Yeah, I mean, herO hasn't gotten a hatchery yet. He is getting a decent number of drone kills, and he's, again, trying to go into the main base. But in a couple of seconds, the Hydras are about to rock up, and these Void Rays are just not... What are they going to do against the Hydras?
Yeah, I almost feel like using the overcharge on the Hydrogen was a waste. He definitely could have killed the lair if he had gone straight to it and overcharged, but it will mean that, at least for the time being, Solar won't be able to break the natural since he can't remake his Hydras, but economically, he's just so ahead that he can play defensively, and he'll definitely be in a good spot.
Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned though, because we have 11 Void Rays. It's not that... Okay, never mind. I was like, do we have enough Hydras? We have more than enough Hydras. Who needs a Hydra then, mate? Solar already had them ready. Jesus Christ, so many Void Rays just evaporate.
Yeah, this is the thing about Void Rays, is they're so good above static defense versus Hydras, but as soon as you're in the middle of the open and the Hydras can start a step underneath, everything dies.
GG, mate.
Wow, that game was actually crazy. I can't believe it.
Oh my god, herO was so greedy, right? Like when the push was coming towards his
Yeah.
goal base, he waited so long to recall back home. To be fair, he wasn't losing a lot of workers at that time, but he was losing his position. He was losing all of his infrastructure, his stack defense, which meant that the second wave was that much stronger.
Yeah, I think definitely he had to do probably both of recalling earlier and maybe starting Flux Veins was a bit greedy, as well as the third Stargate. Maybe he should have focused more on just getting static defense, since I think that if he can hold off the first wave convincingly,
Yeah.
then he can start doing these Void Ray counterattacks and start killing buildings, and it makes it really hard. Because if your first wave gets shut down as Zerg, and you want to go for a second wave, you just don't have enough to split your army to defend the Void Rays and attack versus like 10 cannons and 5 shield batteries.
Yeah, exactly. So herO may be misreading the situation, maybe just his overconfidence being shown a little bit there against his opponent. But regardless, what a game, mate.
Yeah, that was one of the crazier games I've seen for sure.
Exactly, and here we go. We are now diving into game number 2 and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Berlingrad LE. We have the South Korean Zerg player who is currently up 1-0 in this best-of-5 semi-finals. It is the Korean Zerg representing KaiZ Gaming, Solar.
And in the bottom right corner, down 1-0, taking the gold at his third base in the last game and giving us a really crazy game. It is DPG's herO.
Love it.
I love how Yaku says that.
Yeah, DPG. Oh god, that's good. It's good. We need someone to harness their inner Yaku here to make up for the fact that he's not here.
I'll do my best.
Oh god. Meanwhile, oh, god, and see, and I thought Hydras weren't good in this matchup, Oreo. You know, what do you?
Okay. I mean,
they have their place sometimes. Okay, is what I'm trying.
sometimes if the other guy does weird stuff.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, exactly. Hez is rolling in his grave.
Oh god. Well, we'll see how game number 2 here goes. Again, what I will say is this is still a very long series. It's a best of 5. Sure, game 1 did go Solar's way, but there's still plenty more games to go. This still could go very back and forth. And I'm excited to see what else herO has in store for us.
Yeah, like that first game, that opening was so interesting. I feel like I could analyze that for like 30 minutes and still not quite understand the intricacies of that, where like herO gets a bit behind because he has to do this stuff with the cannons, but then he chronos the zealots, but then Solar can take the other base, but then the adept denies it, and it's like I have no idea who's meant to be ahead.
Yeah.
And how much of it comes down to the small micros.
I just love that it felt very thought out, you know. It felt like herO over time, maybe, or maybe even not just herO, maybe, I don't know, maybe Zest has some influence. They are teammates, they are good friends, where they're like, okay, you know, we do want to do whatever we can to deny the goal base for the Zerg player on this map specifically, and, you know, they have their own responses, and we can come up with our own response to that as well, and it was a great start.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of how Estrella used to play. He would always chrono his first zealot. Like, as soon as the game would finish, he would chrono a zealot around the first overlord, and then start to pressure the third, with the zealot and the first adept. And it wasn't meant to kill the third, but it would just put on a lot of pressure. And I think it's kind of a similar reasoning, where it's like, Zerg can't really deal with the zealot that early, if they take their third base quite fast.
Yeah.
So the adept was gain, but I don't think it got no worker kills. There was a good spore trick from Solar, so...
Yeah, Solar does defend his workers quite nicely. Once again, we just see a Stargate opener here from herO. He does have his first Void Ray out to clear up any of those stray Overlords. And behind this, he is going for an Oracle.
Yep, and he's doing the new school way of opening where you get the third base before the two gases, and before a third adept, so he's going to get it very early at 3:45, and Solar will see that and know that there's probably not going to be much aggression coming his way in the form of a Glaives or whatever.
Yep. So nice scouting there by Solar. Will this Oracle deal too much damage? We already have a Spore at the third and the main base. Solar should be fine. His queens are even here just in time to swat away the Oracle at the natural. Behind this, herO is doing Protoss things. I mean, we see a second Stargate and a Forge as well. So again, looking to go into that Skytoss style.
This is so cool that herO sent his Void Ray to the very bottom left corner of the map, because that's something that Zerg's been doing lately, is putting an Overlord in that corner and sending it in really late. So that's super sick from herO doing that. It did leave his third base open. If Solar had like maybe 4 more Lings, he could have killed the Pylon and an Adept, but I don't think that I don't believe that Solar did have an Overlord there, but it's still a cool move.
Yeah. I've noticed that as well, with the Zergs hide their Overlord for later on.
I think Rogues started doing that first, I believe, where like the Overlord that checks for cannon rushes at your natural, you just send it to the corner after you're sure there's no more cannons, and then you send it in like way later. And it gives you a lot of valuable info against double Stargate Void Ray, like whether he's going Disruptors, whether he's going Charged Archon, whether he's going 3 Stargate. And all of those things can really inform your decision making.
Definitely. Meanwhile, a decent Ling run by here. He is able to deny a cannon for the time being. Not the biggest of deals, but it is something. Behind this, that creep highway, it's looking pretty good. The queens are on the way.
I think if Lambo was watching this, he would tell you that this queen walk is probably pretty unholdable on this map. Especially since Solar is doing the trick where you mine the minerals so that you can actually get between the bases, and you end up getting to the natural so much faster. And since Protoss believes you're going to be Queen Walk in the third base, he has no static defense in the natural because he can't afford it in both locations. So Solar's just going to ignore the third base entirely and commit into the natural where there's no cannons and no shield batteries.
Exactly. Speaking of, cannons and shield batteries are on the way, but they're not ready just yet. We even have a stasis ward, so maybe a good stasis can go off here against all of these Lings. herO, he is in position, but again, his static defense isn't ready.
Yeah, stasis is still up, so the Lings are about to... Okay, the Lings make a force field so that they can't commit any further, but... I mean, with no static defense, he's literally has no DPS on this army whenever the Void Rays move away. And the Biles...
Exactly, the Biles connect with the Void Rays, 2 of them already getting picked up. The Queens are forcing their way through. The wall is soon not going to be a wall. Shield batteries do finish up, and we do have an overcharge available, but I mean, there are only 5 Void Rays here.
Yeah, this is the problem with playing Void Rays on this map, and why it's not safe for the most part, is that you just can't, because Zerg can get to the natural so fast, and you have to commit to defending the third base. Like you basically have to make your shield barriers at the third base, because if Protoss commits to defending the natural in that position, like if Solar gets there and there's like 5 cannons and 2 shield barriers in the natural, he can just go kill the third base.
Yeah.
Which that's why that map is so tricky, and why probably the only way to hold it is to have your Void Rays in position to snipe the drones as they're mining, but it can be hard to do that in the moment.
Yeah, definitely. GG, well played. I also wonder how much experience herO has with that build, with that execution of that build, I should say, as well. Because again, he wasn't ready for it at all. He had nothing at his natural until he saw the army outside his natural. So he was very unprepared for that, very unawares, and Solar takes a quick 2-0 lead. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that this is just Protoss players pretending that their builds are safe on some maps when they're actually not. Like I think on this map, you probably have to play probably have to play Glaives if you want to play a macro-ish game. I'm not sure if there's any Void Ray variants that work on this map. I think this map is almost worse than Curious, since the natural and third are so much more separated on this map compared to Curious, where if you take the triangle third, it's pretty close.
Mhm.
So like Zerg just, and also there's a ramp, so
Yeah.
Zerg just can't commit to go into the natural if they see the static defense at the third. Yeah, Berlingrad definitely seems to be the best Queen Walk map.
Oof. And unfortunately, our Protoss player had to find out the hard way that was the case.
Yes.
But here we go. We're diving into another relatively small map, and spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Blackburn LE, we have our South Korean Zerg player currently up 2-0 in this best of 5 series. He only needs one more to move on to the grand finals. We have our South Korean Zerg representing KaiZ Gaming. It is Solar.
And in the bottom left corner, down 0-2, and finding himself on match point for Solar. Can he bring it back? It is DPG herO.
Oh boy. Okay, here we go. So, how do you feel? How do you feel about Queen Walks on Blackburn?
They're pretty bad for the most part, because you have to expand away from Protoss with the third base. Like, you have to take the vertical third, because if Protoss sees you take the triangle, they can just reactively make Tempests. And because of the map layout, you just can't defend a Tempest between your main and third base in the dead air, just shelling at your workers. And the other great thing about Tempest is it's actually a safe build against Queen Walks. Since like queens just can't get in range of Tempests, basically, and you can start one-shotting queens when you have enough Tempests, so there's no transfuse. So I would say it's definitely not the best, but not the worst. I think it's better than, for example, Glittering, obviously, and maybe better than 2000 Atmospheres and Hardwire. Those three maps seem to be like almost impossible to Queen Walk on. So I'd say this is like a pretty bad, but not impossible that we wouldn't see a Queen Walk.
Okay. We'll see, because when it comes to a player like Solar, I think maybe I know why you like him so much. Quite often he does tend to avoid the late game. He isn't like your rogue, where he kind of like, starts getting his Spore Forest ready, he starts working, he starts like working towards that end game composition. If he sees an opportunity to do so, he will go for, something like a Hydra Timing or a Queen Walk, with mixed success. But honestly, he's been looking pretty good today, as hectic as the previous games have been.
Yeah, and the scary thing about herO is you can never really know if he is playing 2 Stargate Void Ray, since, I'm sure you know as a Zerg player, sometimes it can be hard to exactly pin down what the Protoss is up to, but especially herO having the very crazy builds that he does, often he gets away with 2 Stargate Void Ray when he maybe shouldn't. Maybe that was what he was thinking on Berlingrad. Like, maybe he thought he sold something to Solar, but Solar didn't buy it. But yeah, I have seen herO do very strange builds in this matchup, so especially on this map, actually.
Okay, we'll see if we get some of that here. So far, there hasn't been anything too crazy. Just like the previous game, we see herO going for that Stargate opener, going for an Oracle, but actually didn't go for the Void Ray first and go straight into a Twilight Council.
Yeah, so it looks like it might be a really fast Glaives, I want to say. But the fact that he took a 345 natural in the previous game, and now it's gonna be so much later, is probably gonna... Ooh, but a proxy pylon in the top right.
Are we gonna see a Dark Shrine?
Well, you don't need to proxy the Dark Shrine, is the thing.
True.
Like, I guess, because the pylon would just be for warpins, but... It is weird, because this map is kind of strange, because you can't really scout air units leaving the Protoss' base more often than not, because if you want to put an Overlord in the dead air, usually it dies to a Void Ray, but this game, it's so strange that herO opened Stalker and not Void Ray.
Yep.
He went Oracle, which means that he actually can't deny a scout from the dead air.
Yeah.
And he also can't kill any Overlords that are in the dead air. So it's a very, very strange build. Basically, is what I'm trying to say.
It is strange. It is strange. I mean, herO is aware of like, you know, what he doesn't have available to him, so he does have a Stalker here to try and deny a scout. The Overlord is making its way into the main base. But yeah, it is a little bit odd that he did avoid that Void Ray. Meanwhile, Solar, has eyes on this third base. He's going to try and delay it a little bit. I mean, the Oracle is already on the way back home, so herO shouldn't lose too much here, but oh, maybe the Adept.
Yeah, and this is the thing about only making one Stargate unit, is it can't cover all your bases. You can't be on the map with it and also defending at home, but the Adepts come in. Glaives isn't done just yet, but it's about to finish. And Solar's just going to hold down the link key.
Yeah, we have 16 Lings on the way. So far, the Adepts haven't really dealt too much damage at all. They do shade into the main base. Glaives finally does finish. But again, enough time has passed for Solar. He's got a lot of Lings to work with.
Yeah, and the fact that there was only one Stargate unit actually means that this build hits way faster, because, like, herO skipped the Void Ray to make the Twilight. He could have made a Void Ray instead of the Oracle, but he has super fast Adepts, but it also means that he's way more committed. He needs to get even more damage.
Yeah, and I'm so impressed with the micro here from Solar. Like, he hasn't lost any workers yet. Like, he hasn't lost anything here at the third base. There are a lot of Adepts on the map, though, but he does catch the Adepts here in the main.
Yeah, and the Queens at the front can buy so much time when they've got the transfusers. Adepts just do so little damage to Queens. And it looks like Solar's going to be able to surround the Adepts, but Adepts are so good against Lings that he actually breaks out.
Yeah.
And it's almost starting to look a bit scary for Solar. There's so many Adepts now.
They really are, but enough time has passed that now Roaches are on the way. 7, 8 more Roaches in production. Now Solar can kind of fight this head on. He has to be careful not to get overwhelmed. As you were saying, like, this Adept count is pretty insane.
Yeah, and he commits into the natural, and he's actually just going to fight the units here. I really want to see herO throw down 2 extra Stargates right now, so that he can be a bit more safe against the counter-attack that's sure to come, but it looks like he's going to keep committing to getting drone kills. He's not shading out yet.
Yeah, you say keep committing to getting drone. Yeah, he still hasn't killed many. Like, the drones just haven't been dying.
One drone.
One drone.
Killed one drone. Solar's killed one drone.
Oh my god, that's crazy. The target fire hasn't been there. Finally! He does it! He gets one!
He got 2 workers. Yeah, and Solar had to keep this third base alive during this because, like, herO behind this, he is on 3 bases and he is probing up, so he's not insanely all in, but the problem I feel is going to be the big counterattack that's definitely going to come.
Yeah, exactly. As you were saying, like, he doesn't have any Stargates, he doesn't have any Void Rays. Like, he's working on a Robo right now for Immortal production, but the Robo isn't even, it's halfway done. Oh god.
Honestly think if herO had made 2 Stargates, extra Stargates behind this and was making Void Rays, he would be in such a sick position right now.
Yeah.
But I guess Solar isn't quite thinking about a counterattack, so maybe he's going to be okay, but yeah, it can be really hard to hold the counters when you do these glaive pressures. That's the weakness of them usually, is that if Zerg defends really well, they can just do a queen walk after you're done and have an insane amount of units, and you usually won't have your tech up in time.
Yeah, we'll see if it is there in time, because finally Solar does go across the map. herO was buying a lot of time with his Adepts, with his proxy, like maybe more time than he should have. Like, I know it took a while for Solar to really pull the trigger on this, but because so much time has passed, look at how many shield batteries you have. The first Immortal and the first Void Ray are out.
But the thing is, herO is being so greedy. He's probed up to 63, like, with a lot of those workers could have been shield batteries. It means that if he defends this, he's going to be in a sick position, but he's not going to have quite as much as he maybe should if he had cut probes, and the Immortal's out in the open.
Oh my god, the Immortal is so exposed, but the Stasis Trap does go off on a decent chunk of these Roaches. Overcharge is popped, but immediately the shield battery gets focused down.
Yeah, and this is the problem with the glaive builds, is if you don't get quite enough damage, your tech is so delayed that these big counterattacks can just crush through.
Yeah, wow, doesn't matter how many shield batteries there are here, the Immortals are being focused down one after the other. Biles even connecting on the Void Ray. The Void Ray does barely survive, but there is only one Void Ray, so the third base will go down. And this is insane! Despite herO being an ESL Asia champion only a couple of weeks ago, he gets knocked out in the semifinals 3-0. Wow.
I guess PvZ is unwinnable.
Unwinnable, mate.
Yeah, I do just think that the best way to play with these glaive styles is to follow it up with a lot of Void Rays, because I feel like 99% of the time, in this position, in this game, Solo is going to do a counterattack with queens. Like, you have to make so many units to defend that often the Protoss is actually outmining you, and if you go into a macro game, you're kind of a bit behind, and you just have so many units sitting around that you want to go attack them. So to me, it seems that Void Rays seems like a super good way to counter that.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's also a little bit possible that maybe herO, like, he was hoping to deal more damage with his adepts, so he wasn't necessarily thinking that he needed them or so. I don't know. Like, it was odd. He was working on a transition, but it also, that itself felt very late as well. When he started his Robo and Immortal production and stuff, you were talking about how greedy he was being and how many probes he had pumped out.
Yeah, like, it did feel like he had put himself in a position where if he did manage to defend, he would be in the 6th spot. But it's kind of like, yeah, you can be greedy and say that, but like, you still have to defend the push.
Yeah. Oh boy, and with that we have our first finalist for the day. It is of course going to be Solar, but now we're going to figure out who is going to face Solar here in the grand finals. It looks like the upper portion of the bracket was taking a little bit longer, some very long macro games. So we're just going to be getting ready, and it looks like we're still, my god, we're still in the quarterfinals up here.